Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Knowledge Gap Show. Today we have an awesome episode on how to graduate college debt-free, because the average college student graduates with $36,000 in debt, and that's if you go to public school. Private schools, over $54,000 of debt when you graduate. So we brought in my brother Josh, who is in charge of a summer internship. He's one of the options out there to help you maximize your summers so you can graduate debt-free. And of course, we got the co-host Nick here. Here we go. You'll want to stick around the entire episode. Josh is going to be giving you some really good tips that have been really smart that helped him make over $75,000 in college to graduate. He's got over 6 years experience in sales, leadership, and leads an organization with the Southwestern program that Nick and I both did back in school. Actually did 7 years with them. Nick did 2 summers. I got to graduate with totally debt-free from doing this internship. So we love it. And Josh is we're just gonna get to know him. And he graduated from Tennessee Tech mechanical engineering major, and he played soccer in college at Indiana Tech as well. Really smart guy, total badass, and loves what he does, unlike the 88% of people who really hate their job. So this will be good. So, all right. And we've got one mic today because my other mic burned up and somewhere. So that's
3 dudes.
Find a way, right? So what's up, Josh?
R forward.
Thanks for that's right. R forward. That's in the Bear Den Books episode right there.
Forward R.
Comment if you use that. So Josh, what's up? Thanks for being on here, brother.
Yeah, how's it going? It's awesome being on here. This is my first podcast I've ever been on.
No way.
Yeah.
Hey,
first time I've been interviewed. It's exciting. It's kind of cool. So
we're glad you're here. So tell us a little about your story of like how you got involved doing this crazy door-to-door job that your younger brother did. He's older than me. Everyone thinks he's younger though. You probably thought he was younger. Comment if you think he looks younger, please. That would make me happy.
The better looking brother.
Oh no! Hell no! Wait, don't do that.
Also, we all got flannels on today, so it's good news. Match attire.
Yeah. So tell us, like, how did you get involved? I know I've got written down here that like you sold books and made over $75K in the summers while you're in college with a stutter.
Yeah. How
do you get into that?
Well, it's a long story for getting into Southwestern, learning how to sell, brand new business stuff in the summer. I think part of it came from just, in college, wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I did engineering in college. Part of the reason I did engineering is because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I knew it would be hard. I had to learn something from it. And I was good at math. So, but I think going into school, I knew I had to do stuff with my summers, right? If I want a cool job when I graduate, where I'm making good money and stuff, you gotta be productive. Lots of kids in college, so you have to learn to set yourself apart. And I didn't know how to find stuff like that. So my first summer, I think I actually came back home from college and did like landscaping, and that was miserable. It was miserable for a couple reasons. Well, it was actually with a friend from church and stuff. It was terrible because I was like, crap, I'm really not learning a whole lot doing this stuff, like mulching, and it was all good stuff. I got paid okay. And really just being at home after being away for college is just like, it's almost like taking a stepwards back, which I just felt like I grew nothing in the summer. I came back the same person for sophomore year. And my freshman year, I actually went to school at Indiana Tech, played soccer. So coming back to Tennessee was really weird because, you're 10 hours away, you're on your own kind of thing. It's like all brand new, which was exciting. So my sophomore year, I transferred to school at Tennessee Tech, continue engineering and varsity soccer.
Why'd you transfer?
Engineering and soccer was just insane. I was the only person on the team that was doing engineering, but also on a varsity soccer team. And it was just like go every second of every day, like in bed at 11, up at 5, for like a whole year. And I was like, well, I could do this because, I've just built good discipline through sports and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I was like, 4 years of doing this exact same thing. Am I going to go pro after college? Probably not. So what's the point of 4 years of just insane days learning more soccer that I probably won't end up using as a professional thing to make money or career kind of thing. So that's why I transferred to school at Tennessee Tech.
That's almost had a teardrop.
Yeah. Which is it's okay. I was sad.
Yeah.
And I love soccer, but I was like, it was just a smart decision, right? It's just like not smart to keep spending time doing stuff you're not gonna be doing for a long time. I still played soccer I started the men's soccer club. Yeah. It was awesome. So I love the people, the competitiveness. I love playing soccer. I actually started a club because I was like, man, I miss my competitive friend group, And there was pickup, but it was unorganized. So I was like, I'm in charge now. And I started a club. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So going to school at Tennessee Tech, my goal is to do something this summer that's not at home, because you just get so comfortable when you're at mom and dad's house. You know, there's breakfast made for you or something. You're like, all right, I need to go venture out in the world, make my own, make stuff happen. Because
they made you breakfast at home.
That's the whole point. Well, I guess I don't think so. But
I was waking up at the wrong time. But
it's just like the comfortable feeling of being at home. You know?
Yeah.
When you're away and you're like on a mission, you're not comfortable. You're like, all right, time to.
It's going back into that comfort zone.
I need to put a fire under my butt, you know. So the goal for sophomore year was to not be at home in the summer, okay? Because I was like, all right, I need to do something this summer that sets me apart so I can start getting stuff going. And that whole year in college, it was so hard to find stuff. Like, I think I applied to stuff everywhere online. I went to the career fairs. If you've ever been to a career fair before, it's spooky going to one of those and you have no clue what you're doing or what you're trying to talk about yourself, and you're like,
guppy.
Yeah, you're just a little puppy, right? So,
little guppy.
Little guppy. Little big pond, little guppy.
A little minnow.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
No clue what you're doing. Colleges don't really train you to be successful in career fairs, which they don't train you to be successful in a lot of stuff that we'll, probably talk about in a little bit. But I was doing all this stuff. I think I even did a career fair that was hours away. So there was like a bus ride, missed all my classes. Right, productive way to miss classes is finding jobs. It's okay. It's the point of college.
Yeah.
Okay. So
let's hammer on that really quick.
If you're worried about your micro econ class and your homework that's due, and you have an A, and you're using that as an excuse to not go to a career fair, you're making a mistake.
Yes. The point of college is to get a better paying job or to leverage networking relationships to make more money, right? So I think that's really important for people to get. It's not just to learn more, it's to learn valuable skills, not just any skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I left school to do this career fair because I'm just like, I'm hunting for something. And I'm not good at networking at this point. I don't understand how to sell myself. No freaking clue. I'm just jumping in as many tanks as possible, So, and I don't even think I got anything from that career fair, but it was just like the conquering the fear, just getting out there kind of thing. Just momentum.
Nick, how was your first career fair?
I don't work for any of those places, so it was good. I ran into one of my buddies, and I was like, "Hey, man, screw this place, huh?"
Yeah.
Just didn't get a lot of it,
Gotcha.
But it was cool to just kind of learn about a couple opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah.
Sorry, as you were.
Anyways, so doing those was a good experience. I think at some point, literally it was like 2 weeks till the end of the spring semester, and I still don't have something for the summer. And then I was going to apply to be an RA for the next fall or spring or something like that. And I was applying, there was this little position open up for like a conference assistant or whatever that was. I was like, I don't know what this is. I need something. But I ended up interviewing for that, and I got that job, so that was cool. And what that was just being on campus, like almost like an RA for the summertime, and you help with like some camps that happen on.
That was with
campus.
Boys State, right?
Yes.
Was that the whole Boys State?
There was like Boys State. There's like a
Okay.
cheerleading whole camp thing and all this stuff.
Oh.
Anyways,
Watch out.
yeah, for that, like my housing was paid, and then I just made a little bit. I think I made like $2,000 or $3,000 that summer.
Yeah.
But I got my goal. I wasn't at home. I was doing something. Throw it on the resume. Now for junior year, the excitement was, all right, I did something this summer. Cool. I didn't make crap happen junior year. Okay. So junior year, I was an RA in the fall. And engineering, so at this point I'm a junior in engineering. I've played soccer in college, had this conference assistant thing, done, landscaping. Used to ref in high school or whatever too, so that was pretty cool. But I was like, I need to make stuff happen because I took some loans for college, not a ton, but I did some. So I was like, cool, I want to graduate debt free. I need to have stuff set up where I'm not like back at home after college, right? So the goal is not to be at home after college, right? I think like 40% of kids fact check me, but it's like a massive percent of kids are at home after college. You don't want to be there.
It's like 30 something. Like over 26, I think it's like 30%. I'll look it up while you're talking.
Egos hurt. You don't want to be in your room that you were in high school in.
Yeah.
So egos hurt. So it's like, cool, I need to make stuff happen this year. So junior year, right, the fall, I'm an RA.
58% of young adults are still living at home
after college.
Oh my gosh. That's really high.
So just think about this. You spend 4 years investing in yourself, paying for investment, end up the same place before college. You don't want that. Okay? You need to be in a different place.
That's brutal.
Yeah. So junior year, fall, I'm an RA. All right, cool. Like that was okay. I was like got a room and like got some money and stuff, which was okay. But like I was over this.
You
this
cool
fall.
RA?
Okay, so let's explain the RA thing.
Yeah.
So I was probably not a very good RA because I just wasn't there.
The truth comes out.
I mean, I got the RA for the room and some money.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Throw it on the resume to get a job. Right. So
Right.
the focus is I need to have something. I'm going to make something happen. So I got that. So as I'm living for free, making some money with hardly any effort as an RA, I also joined like an engineering club, and then I got elected to be a senator for the College of Engineering. That took like a day of campaign. I went to like 100 people and just asked them to vote for me, and I got the job. Yeah.
Hey, cool. There you go.
So like
Sales.
in 2 hours.
Sales skills.
This is before the book field. And then I started the soccer club. So this was all junior year. There was, all that stuff. It was insane. You don't want to be doing a lot of stuff. There's so much going on. On top of that, I think I interviewed for like 10 different internships. And then I think I ended up getting 3 internships that were like over $12,000 or something. So I got a co-op at a place called Roper, which is part of GE Appliances. And well, it's a subsidiary. And so I did that spring. Now, rewind a little bit. When I was doing the conference assistant was your first summer in Southwest.
This is 2016.
2016.
Summer, yeah.
And I think that spring too, I met you and Jacob at UTK because I was like, hey, what was that? Because you were going to like, where'd you guys go for your
No, I think
season?
it was in the fall.
Yeah, it was in the fall.
We were going to Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic.
Yeah,
So
they got a drink called Mama Juana there.
Yeah, there you go.
Really
So with the whole Southwestern thing, Joe had been going on some cool trips, and as I was looking for stuff, I asked him because I knew it was a sales thing. I was like, I'm an engineer, but I asked him anyways because I just want to figure out what it was, if I'd be into stuff like that. So I learned about the Southwestern thing at first, and I wasn't sure how it applied to engineering kind of thing. So anyways, did this thing called Roper in the spring. It was good. I mean, I learned some stuff. Most engineering internships and co-ops, there's just a lot of logistics in Excel and AutoCAD, at first, So it was good. Now, that spring, obviously I'm trying to figure out, there was an option to do Roper again in the summertime, and there was an option to do something like Southwestern, and I think I even had a couple other options, from that fall that were like summer things too. So I was trying to figure out what I want to do for the summertime. And I was like, well, I could stay here at Roper. I could do something else. I could do Southwestern. Now, it's hard to tell now, guys, but like before I did the summer in Southwestern, which, okay, spoiler, I used to have a really bad stutter. So one of the reasons I wasn't 100% in Southwestern was I wasn't sure how to apply to my major, but I also wasn't sure if I'd be that great at it, because I had, speaking problems or whatever. So I think from the Roper experience, I think I made $16,000 at Roper that spring, which is good.
This is
Not bad.
great.
That's good money.
That is good money.
And I could have made a guaranteed $16,000 staying at Roper in the summer, or even a little bit more too. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't that adventurous.
Yeah, you wanted to.
Why didn't you stay?
So
because that's 16,000, right?
Yeah,
guaranteed.
absolutely. So
why would you not just take the free money?
Take the money and run.
Yeah. So the reason, there's a couple reasons, but one of the reasons is I kind of thought it was boring. I mean, you're kind of like in a cubicle. There were some other interns my age and stuff too, but I was always trying to go do fun stuff with them, go soccer, go hiking, and no one ever wanted to do stuff. Everyone was really into video games and D&D or something like that. I was like,
those are cool things.
So what was their mentality like, the people that were working there with you?
oh, just go to work, go home. That was the mentality. That there used to be this fundraiser thing that we used to do where you could buy, books from college students, called a book buyback kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I think one week I did my co-op and I did that on top of it. So I literally worked like 80 hours that week and doubled any other intern at the place, which was pretty sick actually. So with that and doing my co-op.
Yeah.
So I left because I thought it was boring. I was in cubicles. I was inside the whole time. It wasn't very competitive. I like sports. Actually, like a couple of my mentors, like they were really smart, really cool. But I just felt there was more adventurous things to be doing. And then I had the starter thing, and I was like, all right, maybe it's time. Because I think years ago I'd written down that I wanted to be a good speaker. I was like, hey, this Southwestern thing might be cool. So throughout that spring, going into Southwestern, I was like, I think I'm gonna do the Southwestern thing. I'm not really sure how this is gonna help me be a great engineer, but it sounds adventurous. It's out of my comfort zone. I think it'd be cool to be really good at this because I liked the people Joe was hanging out with, like Jacob Green and Danny and stuff like that. So So like I like that kind of people.
So you're looking at the internship, right? So if you're new to like looking at what you're going to spend your time doing for money, it's the culture that matters a lot, right? It's
people you're around.
Yeah, you know, who are you becoming in the process? Are you becoming more of a person who, you know, is on video games, avoids real life interaction versus going out there and talking to a bunch of people, like, you know, and what's the mindsets that you're kind of learning is really important when you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life.
Yeah. So everyone that Joe was hanging around was like adventurous, go-getter kind of thing. I was like, these people seem cool, and I like this group, and I'd like to go crush this. Because in the summer, whether it's like what we did in college, which was Southwestern, but just sales in general, it's just like it's a sport, and you get better at the sport, and that was exciting, attractive, and all that kind of stuff. Really, in the summer too, you know, if an average student has $30,000 of debt, you know, at a public university for 4 years. If you do most jobs, even if you made $10 an hour and you worked 40-hour weeks all summer for 4 summers, that's still only making like $19,000, $20,000 in 4 summers.
You'll no matter what, have debt when you graduate.
Yeah, so
you want to even factoring in how much you spend on the like food and gas and the stuff people waste on. I'll say it, alcohol.
Clubs.
So
clubbing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
So if you do want to graduate debt free, sales is a good option, whether it's Southwestern or something else.
Yeah,
because it's commission based. You just make as much money as you want, and it's as hard as you work. So it's like, how committed are you to not have debt when you are going to graduate college? Remember, being at your mom and dad's with a lot of debt's no fun. It just delays everything else you want to be doing, right? So it's a great goal to just get rid of that.
Yeah, imagine trying to have a serious girlfriend.
Yeah.
And always introducing them to your parents every single time they come over. That is what it means to live at home when you're post 22 years old. Okay,
yeah.
That's awful. That sucks.
Also making the decision is, do I buy a ring or try to pay my loan? You know, it's just like you just want to get rid of that, right?
Yeah, that's no fun.
So especially when you're the dude. So anyways, where was I at? Yes. So I did the summer. It was awesome. Like, we had a great time. It was super freaking hardest I've ever worked before in my life. I think I was like, of all the first year kids, statistically, I think I worked harder than everyone else that summer. It was tough.
Yeah.
You know.
So you gotta work it.
But I had fun. I grew a lot. Like, the people, like my mentors, massive adventure. Came back. I made about $10,000 in the summer. So between that spring and that summer, I came home after those 2 events I made $25,000 in total, right? So before that, it's hard to find anything. After spring, after summer, came back, 25 grand. You know, two big things on my resume, all this other stuff. Feeling pretty good. I also didn't have a stutter anymore.
Hey,
that's crazy.
That's huge.
That's massive. So it's so important to go attack your weaknesses when you're young. Because this whole thing with the stutter, it's like, you know, back in high school, like reading, like you guys know, when you're popping in English class, you're like reading a passage or something. I was a kid that was like, don't pick me, you know.
Yeah.
Miserable. You don't want that. So you have to attack that. And the greatest thing ever is, like, when you've attacked a weakness, you've overcome it. It's not a big deal anymore.
And it's gone.
Your life changes.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it. You don't make decisions on your weakness anymore. You make decisions on what you actually want versus the things you're scared to do, kind of thing, which is really important too. So
absolutely
nice.
And that goes. You should watch, if you haven't seen the episode of me and Nick talking about like setting goals and to set them based on your future, you know, strengths and your future, you know, your willingness to learn instead of you know, your past failures. You know, that would be a great episode that literally goes really in depth on what Josh just talked about, because that's a huge point. Is that, you know, he went through something that he thought was like holding him back, which it was obviously, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna crush this, and now it's like a strength. It's a positive thing in his life, right? So that's what happens when you face fear, which I think is really huge.
Yep. 2 goals of that summer was, 1, to try to beat your first summer, and then just get rid of this stutter thing, and just do above average. Which
did you beat my first summer?
No, it was close. Now, I had the stutter joke, but I also had a torn ACL that summer too.
Torn ACL. Oh, okay. Also, my car broke down and yada yada yada. Whatever he says. I did beat him though.
Yeah. So
I beat both of them.
That's right. You did. Back in that first summer.
Had a great first summer. How was that second one?
Hey, back to Josh.
But yes. I think the average kid that summer made about 8,000, right? So I went from 16 to the average of 8, so I made 10, which was good and stuff. So, but the stutter thing was way better than the 10,000, you know. So, anyways, came back to college, super excited, awesome experience in the spring and in the summer, tons of friends. I won this cool Mexico trip and stuff. So I had all these other trips planned. I was
felt invincible.
I'm the man.
Yeah.
That whole fall, I dropped the RA thing. Wait. Was I an RA for that fall? I forget. I was. Or I wasn't. I don't remember anymore. But that whole fall, I think all the other internships, all the other clubs and stuff I had, did I continue that fall, or was it mostly soccer stuff?
I don't know. While you're thinking, I want to highlight another thing that you've basically been talking about. So, most people, like, when they think about doing hard things that most people don't do, they usually try to find all the reasons why you shouldn't, right? And one of the things about this, like, story that you're going through, that is normally called what we call the hero's journey. From
there's a
this to
schematic.
that. Yeah, there's a schematic here, right?
It's a whole archetypal.
It's an archetypal thing, right? And there's moments of feeling invincible, right, after doing hard things, right? That's what most people don't realize. It's like doing something like Southwestern on straight commission in a place you don't know, with people you just met, right? All that kind of stuff with 0 leads. If you can overcome something like that, it's you not only feel invincible, but when you tell somebody about that, every time I tell someone I used to work 80 hours a week selling books door to door, their eyes go like literally this. They're like, what?
Yeah.
And they're immediately interested, right? They never ask me what my degree in college is. They never ever have asked me what clubs I was in college. They always are like, wow, I would never. And they say something like that. And
I could never do that.
I would never do that, right? And that's a mentality of belief barriers. I could never do that. And they're saying about that themselves, no matter what age they are. Like, what you have to realize is, like, what Josh's story is talking about, where you're breaking through that for maybe the first time ever in your life. Because, again, most people don't ever break through it, right? They don't have this moment of, I'm invincible. I can actually put my mind to almost anything, right? And I can go crush that, right? So I think that's a big deal. Not a lot of things I feel like give you that feeling. I think that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could go on a rant of thousands of stories, even from the first summer, or 6 summers of doing Southwestern and just doing that.
Well, give us one.
A good one.
Yeah, give us a good one.
A really good one?
Yeah, keep it PG.
From my first summer, I think so there's all this training, and then my first week, so it does not matter how much you sell your first week. It's all about building habits. There's kids that go crush it. There's kids that have a slower start. I was one of the slower start kids. Okay, worked really hard. I did my best. It just wasn't clicking. Awkward engineering student with a stutter. So it just took time to get out of my comfort zone, just be myself. And I think it took me 4 or 5 days to have my first sale. So I zeroed for 4 or 5 days. And then my first sale I ever made was like at 12 o'clock on Saturday with Katie Ramirez in Weatherford, Oklahoma. And she was a referral from a neighbor, so you remember it.
Yeah, right.
And so I did not do well my first week. I probably made like $200 or something from working 75 hours like my first week of the summer. And the reason I did well my first summer is I trust my mentors. They're like, it doesn't matter, just keep working, it'll be good. Just keep following the process and just keep being coachable. So I did. Like, Joe had done this before. I knew I could do it. My second week,
$2.67 an hour. Your first.
Yeah, it's $2.60 an hour.
That's indentured servitude.
So
right there.
Sweatshop. Man.
even though I trusted everyone, I was still frustrated. I was like, man, there's something wrong with me, or what am I doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, all right, let's just give it some time. It's all cool. I just made 16 grand, so I wasn't, in the spring, so I wasn't worried that much, The next week, we just simplified stuff on that Sunday meeting, and we just made stuff a lot simpler with like what you're saying, your sales talk, your sales conversation.
You're saying an engineer was overthinking it, huh?
That's right. And then the coaching that weekend was just to be myself. So the whole next week, I was just focused on just being myself and just being simpler with what I'm saying. And in our group, I went from being the first year in last place to the number 1 first year in our group, which was good. And so my second week, I made like $1,200 or $1,300 the second week.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. And I think one of the days I made like $700 or $800 like that Saturday or that Friday. So that's exciting. So I realized I could do it, and that felt really good. And then I just kind of continued that process throughout the whole summer, So even though I wasn't good at first, worked at it. Like, that's the big picture. You can get good at anything. Why not me? Versus, I can't, and just changing that mentality and just working through that process. That second week, I did better than kids that did not have stutters, weren't that awkward, right? Just by working hard, right? So it was nothing to do with me. It's just all in your head, right?
So crazy growth throughout your first summer, and obviously you're now at summer 7. So like, why do you continue on doing what you're doing? Why have you done 6 summers? What else? What was maybe one or two things you've learned? But like, why do you do what you do? Why do you work with students? Why do you lead the internship at Tennessee now?
Yeah, I think it's powerful. I mean, I think at a young age, when you're 18 to 22, you're at the point in your life where you're kind of like a little bit more on your own and you're making massive decisions. And I think it's awesome that basically what I do in my job, with working and mentoring students, recruiting and leading them the summer is training other people how to train themselves to face fears and conquer stuff, because if you conquer that kind of stuff at a young age, it will be probably the most important thing you ever do is when you're making big life decisions, is to not make those decisions on really stupid stuff, that is worthless to you and to everyone else around you. That's not even probably true. It's just in your head. So it's getting rid of like self-doubt, conquering the fear, trusting yourself more. All that stuff is massive, when you're going through college and going out of college. It's also great to make great friends. Like some of my best friends are Southwestern. And so what I want for students to work with me is to make amazing friends in the summer, go on a cool adventure, make a ton of money, improve themselves a lot, but also to be the kind of people that can teach that kind of stuff to other people, which is really great. And I want people to graduate debt-free. I want people to learn to maximize, what they do with their time, where it's not wasted, it's not coming down to laziness or unproductive stuff that won't help them, whether it's financially, relationally, in their career, and just so that they're set up for like a really great future where they can actually impact people and not have all these things that are bringing them down a little bit.
So Josh, you said you want to help people graduate debt free. What's some like things you think people do in common to like they think is good for them to graduate debt free, but what could they actually do?
Well, one is I think people don't know the impact of their actual loans and how big that's going to be when they do graduate. Yes, so when I graduated college, I think so even though I'd made the money, I still had $14,000 of student loans, but I had more money than that in my bank account. Mm-hmm. So when I graduated college, I could have just paid all that loan and been totally fine. Instead, I hung on to the money for a little bit because I wanted some extra money just for a buffer. So I was still paying monthly on my loans, right? And then the craziest thing that happened after a year is the COVID thing hit, which was the wackiest thing in the world. Now, what happened when COVID hit, right, is that the government put a pause on interest on your loans, right? So what's happening is my loan wasn't getting bigger anymore. And inflation was going up like crazy. Like right now, I think inflation's like, I haven't looked in a little while, but like when I looked before, it was like 7% inflation, which is really freaking high.
Yeah.
So over the last 2 or 3 years, your student loans have not been growing and money's worth less. So if it's a set amount of money that's not growing and becoming worth less, why would I pay it off now? I'm just going to wait until I have to pay it, because the longer I wait, the smaller it gets.
You recommend that for everybody?
Yes. Yes. So understanding inflation, interest, all that stuff, really important, because now the money I bought as a loan is cheaper. So I think loans got extended to like July or June or something, 30th this year. So I'm not going to pay anything on my loan. I still have $14,000 of debt. I have a lot more money than that now. And whenever I have to pay it and the interest starts back on the loans, I'll just wipe it away. But because I didn't pay it, I now have extra money to buy a house. I just bought a house a month and a half ago or something like that, 2 months ago, right? Why would I pay back a loan that's not growing that I don't have to pay back? It's actually becoming less versus buying an asset that's going to appreciate, right?
Right. Good.
The loan's not going to give me anything. It's just going to take away. I just want to take away less later.
Yeah.
So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of big words there, like inflation, and if you're about to click away, stop. But essentially, in layman's terms, if you have a loan and the inflation is really high, which is this word that you'll hear thrown around as 7 or 8%, like it's been or whatever, money, the value of a dollar is decreasing. So if you have a set amount of, let's say, $10,000, it's worth 7% less in a year from now if it's inflating at 7%. Does that make sense? So now it's worth like, whatever the difference is, it's really worth like 9,000 something. But because there's more dollars, it's easier to pay when there's more dollars in general in the system, if that makes sense. So
I have to learn about money.
So what do you think is the biggest thing people could do like this summer, this year, to graduate debt free?
Well, one thing that students waste time in that I think was the question before too, is what most students in college do that is unproductive with graduating with debt is really stuff like social media. It's always been Instagram, all the little shorts, TikTok, biggest time waster in the world, right? Dopamine, pa, 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 all day long, zero productivity, same person after 5 hours of TikTok, right? Nothing changes.
You might be dumber.
You might even be dumber, which is not good either, right?
You haven't thought in about 5 hours. So.
Yeah. So one thing that I realized when I came back after my first summer, as a second year student, you're allowed to recruit your own sales team, right? And lead them and train them. So I had all these clubs that I was in. I was even in soccer. But when I came back from college after my first summer, I dropped all that stuff. I dropped the mechanical engineering thing. I had surgery in my ACL, so I couldn't even do soccer. And I was in one or two other clubs. I dropped the RA thing. Because through learning to recruit and lead a sales team in that fall and that spring, that was more productive use of my time. So by doing that, I ended up making more money the next summer through my personal sales, but also through bonuses of helping to lead other people to make a lot of money in the summer, just leading the sales team. That's how that works. So I dropped this because the mechanical engineering thing wasn't going to make me money. Even being on the soccer club team, even though it was awesome, wasn't going to make me money. And the goal was to graduate debt free. So I was like, well, how can I spend time making money, right? Now, when I was recruiting, I was meeting up with students, explaining the program, seeing if they're interested, and then teaching them how to do stuff and preparing them. I was still doing classes as an engineer, as a senior. Classes were hard. But what I realized when I was a senior, I'd done the summer, I'd done my engineering co-op. What I realized is that employers don't really care that much about your freaking classes. They don't care. They definitely don't care if you make an A versus a B. What employers realize is that anyone that does graduate college, even if you did tons of experience, really, you only have this much experience. And a lot of it's going to be on-the-job training. So my senior year, instead of being a die-hard 4.0, I have to get everything right all the time, which is going to take a lot of time, I just didn't do that. And what happens with your studies is there's a diminishing return on your studies at some point, right?
So basically what you're saying in a nice way is that summer classes are a complete waste of time.
Yes. So summer classes are a complete waste of time.
Classes in general are all you need to do is graduate, and if you're good at school and want to get A's and it doesn't take all of your time to do that, that's totally fine. But there's so many ways that you can be spending time better, right? Whether it's networking or I know being addicted to TikTok and social media is dumb, but if you're good at social media where you can create some content that people actually want to follow, there's a ton of money in that. So you could be doing that instead of watching, just create. Right? You can, if you love social media and that's your thing, right? Because you're in Gen Z, right? And this is what you've grown up with, which is really normal. Create the content, get yourself out there. It feels awkward, it's weird, but if you can create something that's actually beneficial, educational, or entertaining, people will want to watch that. And you can graduate with enough followers to actually monetize it. And if you're ever interested in that, just shoot me an email or comment, and we can talk about how to do that and how that kind of works. But
absolutely, because the whole point, imagine at an interview, sir, I got a B, but I started a 6-figure social media business.
They don't care.
You get hired.
No one's asking about your grades
no one
in
cares.
College. Nobody cares. And in fact, the people who will hire you one day probably didn't get that great of grades. 9 out of 10, they don't want to talk about it themselves.
They're successful,
right? They don't
So
care, right? And then there's all these people who don't even go to college, right? And so if you're in college and you've decided to do it and you've got these, all this debt and stuff like that, I highly encourage you to go do something like selling books with Josh, because what you'll learn from somebody like Josh is how to be smarter with your time and not waste it all. I mean, I remember being in college and having 5 clubs and all this stuff I would do, and I would be so busy all the time. And like you say, none of it really made me money, right? And selling books, I went and made 11, and the next year I quadrupled that, in a summer. You can graduate debt-free that way, right? You can. There's anyone who doesn't graduate debt-free, most of the time, right, it's because of an allocation of how your time management's working. You're not spending time in ways that are smart. You've given up. Right? Don't go to college expecting to have debt when you graduate. Go into college with the open mindedness to figure out how to graduate debt-free and make college work for you. That's kind of the idea that I feel like I've been hearing from you the whole time. And Southwestern's one of the best ways to do it. And Nick, you can tell them too in a second of just how great it is. But you will learn more in the summer selling books than you will in 4 years of college, no matter what the degree is.
Yeah, kind of my first. I didn't find Southwestern until it was like senior year of college. So those summers before that, I was, I guess, being a loser and doing landscaping, like Josh said. But
you're not a loser.
No,
right? You just had a knowledge gap and you didn't hear about it earlier,
Yeah,
and that's why we do this, right?
Just finding stuff.
I hope that if you're a freshman listening to this or a senior in high school, that you will. The whole point of this, guys, is to make sure that you avoid the pain that these gentlemen are talking about. I heard about it freshman year, so I was lucky.
that's cool. Yeah.
You know,
if I had known, then it definitely would have been another route taken. I would have got on it sooner. But doing it was just such an eye opener to one, just how life works, how sales and how much money can be made. You know, kind of working for myself, how much I can accomplish on my own as far as kind of like having an internship, learning sales, communicating, like all the skills that I had but I didn't know I had. Right. And then just really like the social aspect of it, the financial aspect of it, the just having something on your resume, like you said. Absolutely. It's just crazy experience that, you know, and definitely pays off and just keeps paying off. Gift that keeps on giving. Yeah.
5 stars, would recommend to a friend the Southwestern internship. And if you're into that, we'll have a link in the description for you to be able to reach out to Josh and go learn about it if you're into that sort of thing. You can always email us too and stuff like that. So we're all about helping people get the best opportunities we possibly can. You know, and again, I think that's a great option. There's definitely plenty of other options and plenty of things to do. And whatever you do, don't take summer classes because they're more expensive and they're...
It's actually negative.
You know, they're super negative. You know, you're inside all day in the summer when it's warm and nice out, and you're doing school for essentially 11 months in a row, except for the, you know, Christmas break or whatever it is. And it's just like, no one's going to ask you. They're never going to sit down in an interview and say, hey, Josh, what did you do for your summer classes back in 2017? Never a question. You'll never hear it. You'll never see it. It doesn't matter. What matters is building that skills, the character to develop yourself, and getting the network, because people who do Southwestern are incredibly successful people the rest of their lives. So click that, check it out. If you're not following us on Instagram yet, go ahead and follow us. Those links are in the description, but it's at the Knowledge Gap Podcast going forward. And if you're ever interested in learning how to make a podcast, I'm doing consulting on that now. So, you know, just reach out and I can help you get started because it's pretty fun and awesome. And since I've been doing this, it's just joyful. I don't know, I love it. So we appreciate you guys. Hopefully this was helpful, and we'll see you on the next one.